Okay, so welcome back. I actually did it on time this time, but this should be going up, I believe, on the mid-September Saturday or something, because I know I'm not going to be able to stream then. So I figured I'd chuck this in here to sort of cover for that. Anyway, we'll get started with the first one here. So starting off with Gravity Rush 2. This is one I've already played already. This is I actually played this on release because I actually have. I'll just show this off. I do have the original one too, and I picked this up for pretty cheap. I know in America, I think it was like an Amazon limited exclusive. So this thing is like super expensive. The PS4 version, at least, is like super expensive in America. But here, I think I picked it up for like $20. Actually, I think I might have the. Yeah, it was $20 for me. But I've had that one for a while. I just picked up the. So I bought this digitally on release day. I guess it must have been cheaper at the time. Ooh. But yeah, I really like this game. It did follow some of the same story beats from the first one, but the gameplay was like the combat and all that, the movement was all a lot improved. And I'm pretty sure that has this studio like shut down, the one that made it. I think that's the issue. So like the people that made that, I don't know where they ended up. But unfortunately, that means there's probably not going to be a Gravity Rush 3. And if there is, it's not going to be by the same people. But I think it matters too much because it seems like Sony has well and truly abandoned the franchise. I don't know how well it did. I mean, it must have done well enough to warrant a remaster on PS4. But it is a good series, all two games. So if you do get the chance, I would recommend picking this one up. And well, the first one, obviously, because you kind of need the context there a little bit. But yeah, this is just one of those ones I had got digitally at some point and then decided to get physically. Now, this is more of a newer release, I think. This is like a last year or something. Probably. Although they've already announced a another one, right? No, not much going on here. But yeah, I feel like it must have been like the last Nintendo Direct or something. There might have just been a new Nintendo Direct by the time this goes out. But I'm talking about the previous one. I think there was a area where it was more motion orientated with the dual disc, which, what do you call them? Joy-Cons. But I haven't really touched the series. So I want to sort of get into it, and I want to start with like the GameCube era ones, and that shit is expensive, and so like I'll get to it eventually, but it's like I just got to find the right time. I did almost have the opportunity to buy the Wii U game. It was on like clearance for $4, and I went to buy it, and I think a bunch of other people tried to buy it too, and the order got rejected. I guess because they didn't have enough stock to keep up with the demand. And now that Wii U game is worth like $200 or something. So I don't have that either. I think this is the only one I have. Actually, no, I have the No, it's alright. I have the DS and the Wii versions, but I'll get to them eventually. I do want to like go through it because they're 200 micro games. I'm sure it'll be like a bunch of investment to try and like I assume you have to try and like perfect all these, like clear them within a certain amount of time, and that's like the replayability aspect. Yeah, I'll get to the series eventually. Next we have Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. This is one of those weird ones that I'm not sure why they haven't ported yet. Oh, free stickers, hell yeah. This is secondhand, so there's no way there's going to be stickers in here, right? Oh, there is a receipt there. Oh, there's a redemption code. That is... Oh yeah, no, I think I checked that already. But I guess it was talismans. I don't know what they do. But yeah, this is made by the same people. Does it even say? Oh yeah, you can just barely see it. The Ryuga Gokuto. No, that's how you pronounce it. The people that made Yakuza. They made this game, and I think it plays kind of similar. They even have like the random mini games there. But yeah, I'm really surprised this, I guess maybe it didn't do well enough for them to warrant a port. But like every other game they've done has pretty much made it to PC. And it might make it eventually, but I just want to like get this now, just in case. And I still have to actually watch the anime it's based on, and this gives me an excuse to actually go do it now, because I assume I'm going to need to know the source material, and this is just like a retelling of like a one-to-one retelling, but I doubt it. But I'd like to watch the anime first. Oh, speaking of, that's actually pretty convenient. Speaking of Yakuza, you have the Dead Souls game. This one was a bitch and a half to get a hold of. Because this is, I believe it's like I mean, I guess it is a spin-off, so it's not part of the main series. But even the Ishin and there's like another one, the one set in like the ancient times. Those are now getting like remasters, but this hasn't been touched. I think this is actually like my introduction to the series. As far as like I had way back in the day when this came out, someone I used to watch made a let's play on it. I think I watched the first video, and then I never went any further. But yeah, I'm probably planning on starting this on probably next month. I think I might do a playthrough of it, just sort of like match up with the whole October Halloween thing, even though this isn't really a scary game, but it's sort of fitting, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know much about it outside of that one video I saw of it. When did this come out? Like 2010 probably? 2009 maybe? So like 15 years ago. But it came with, whoever was selling it, I guess they just wanted to get rid of this too. It came with the original Yakuza 4. So this is just sort of interesting because it has I think his name is Tanimura, right? I think that's Tanimura. I guess there was recently there was like that scandal with the Judgment actor. I think it was Lost Judgment, the second one, and they had to like replace his voice actor and character model and all that. I think it ended up turning out to be like a fake scandal anyway, but the guy just left regardless. I don't know what happened with this one, but I guess that's the original Tanimura. I actually played through the remaster not that long ago, because that's where I'm up to with the series. I've played through 0 from up to 4, and then this came out after 4, and then I can do 5 afterwards. But wait, is he on the? Oh yeah, he's on the back there. He looks very similar. I mean, I guess they just kept the outfit. It's just like the face and the voice they would have had to change. I think there's actually a mod for the PC version where you can mod the original back in. But the issue with that is if he like shows up in a later game, then surely he would use the newer one anyway, and you'd have to Like, it's not like you could really mod. I mean, I guess you could mod like this one into a newer game or whatever, but I didn't bother with that. Now, I didn't really like 4. I like the idea of all the different characters and them having their own styles, even though that's sort of what the previous games had done. The only thing I didn't quite understand, I don't know if it was me or if it was just like a weird design choice, was actually Tanimura's style. The parry, which was kind of unique to him, because he has like, I think he has less health than everyone else, but the idea is he can parry people. He's just sort of like invincible during it, and then he throws them. From what I tried, I don't know if it was a intentional or a glitch or what. Whenever I parried someone, you would like throw them and it turns them around so their back is facing you, which should theoretically leave them open to a counterattack. Hey, so you know what's really cool? Is when your phone just decides to stop recording and turn off after you've done like the rest of the recording. That's really awesome. I appreciate that. So now I've got to try and remember what I said this entire time. I think I pretty much finished talking about Yakuza 4, right? I was talking about how Tanimura's parry didn't really work. I don't remember if I talked about the finale or not, but anyway, I'm a bit like all messed up now because yeah, I just like finished recording everything and then I looked at my phone and it was just off. So anyway, I think I'd stop talking about Yakuza 4. I did like 4. I'll be playing Dead Souls in October probably, and then probably like I'll continue with 5 later at some point because I'm like way behind in the series. But anyway, I'm hoping I said everything I needed to on that. So now I've got to try and go over what I kind of said earlier. Anyway, speaking of Yakuza, wait, hang on, is this the right order? Or did I do this one already? I feel like I did this one already. No? No, you know what? I did. I think the only thing because I think I did this in reverse. The only thing I wanted to show off was this like reverse cover. Because like I guess it comes up later. It has like this reverse manga cover that you can put on, which is pretty cool. I guess that's the only reason that was there. So next up is Metroid Prime. I got a bit confused because I thought I talked about this last time, but I think that was Metroid Dread. So I don't really have much else to say on this series because I think I pretty much said everything last time. I think I must have pointed out the reverse cover here, which is why I went back to North Star. Yeah, my opinion's pretty much the same. I do still have to get through this. I really hope they make a 2 and 3 for Switch to make it easy to continue the series. Because it would be sort of weird for them to make only the first one and then not have 2 and 3 available. Because I think 2 is on the GameCube, 3 is on the Wii, and then there's the Wii trilogy. So it's sort of like a weird mix to try and play through the entire series currently. So I'm hoping if they do make 2 and 3, they make them with the same sort of quality they did this one, because I know this one got pretty good reviews. So this one's pretty ancient. I know the reason I know about this series is because a friend of mine had a PSP with this game, and I was huge on Sonic as a kid. Like I played the shit out of Sonic Adventure 1, 2, Heroes, even Shadow the Hedgehog, even though that wasn't the most stellar game. But yeah, I specifically remember my friend having, it was either the first one or the second one. I don't remember if Silver was in it. If Espeon was in the first one, then I think he had the first one. So I think that's what the first one was. It might have been Espeon and Sonic, Metal Sonic Shadow. And I think maybe these 4 characters were added to this one. But I think the idea is it's like it probably had its appeal with the one-on-one multiplayer. It's just like basically a multiplayer Sonic game. It's like the racing game, although it looks like there's battles too, so I still need to find the first one anyway before I jump into this one. But I think that's the idea. It might be like taking the sort of battle mode that was in Sonic Adventure 2 and just sort of making it into its own game. I'm not sure how well received these were, but obviously they haven't had like an additional entry in this came out in 07, so 15 years since the last entry, so I don't think it was I don't know if it was really well received or not, but I'll get around to it eventually. Have another PSP game next, Final Fantasy Dissidia. I don't think my friend had this. I might be remembering Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, maybe, because I know that had a multiplayer battle mode. Because I know this series because there's like a really good song in. For some reason, they called the next Dissidia game Dissidia 012. I'm not sure the meaning behind it. Maybe there's 12 characters. That might be it. Because I think this goes up to 11, maybe. Because this is like a Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2. 2 is definitely my least favorite, just because of the weird battle system in it, where you can like you level your guys up by attacking your own guys, and then you heal your own guys to level your healing up. And it's better to spend like the entire game without armor on, because that levels your agility and it makes you faster. It was just sort of weird. That one's 3. 4 was one of my favorites. I believe that's 5. I don't remember his name though. That's Terra with 6. 7's the last one I've played, so I still need to do 8. I believe that's 10, so that's probably 9. Yeah, that's probably how that works. And then the game is just like a 3D battle arena. I don't know if it has like a specific name for that genre, but it's like the Naruto Shippuden. Wait, is it called Shippuden? There's like a Naruto series on the PS2, and like the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi thing. It's like just like a 3D arena, and you fight each other one-on-one. This one has a pretty cool cover too. It's got like the inverse, because it has all the villains there. So it's got like Sephiroth, Kefka. I think that's probably Chaos. That's probably the guy from 2, whoever he was, like the king or something. And then that's the guy that turns himself into a Splinter. But yeah, so I guess there's probably like 20 characters, which is pretty good. And then these guys I didn't recognize at all. But yeah. I do need to get around to finishing off the Final Fantasy series. But speaking of, I have 15 here. It's missing its sleeve, unfortunately. But I picked this up because it has the pretty cool steelbook. I know some people aren't a huge fan of steelbooks because they don't really match the rest of the collection, but I think some of them look pretty cool. Unfortunately, it's also missing. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have Kingsglaive, like the movie. There's like a prequel movie for this game, because Final Fantasy love to do movies for some reason. There's like Spirits Within and Advent Children, so I think it was sort of in the same vein. I don't know how well received the movie was, but I think it's sort of like recommended that you watch it before starting the game. But again, I'm definitely way behind on this series because I've only played up to 7. And I think I sort of burnt myself out because I played through Final Fantasy 1 through 7 and like Dragon Quest 1 through 5 maybe. Maybe it was up to 6. It was probably up to 6 actually. So I played Final Fantasy 7 and Dragon Quest up to 6 in the 1 year. And I sort of haven't touched either series since, because I probably burned myself out on turn-based RPGs. But I am looking forward to trying out the new sort of combat that they introduced in 15, and I guess they continued in like the 7 remake and 16 sort of thing. This one I don't have too much to talk about. I don't know if I'm rushing through these now because I'm trying to remember what I said the first time, but this one I just sort of grabbed because I remember there was a time where the first game, which I own on Switch, back when that was a Wii exclusive, there was like a period where that was really rare because I guess they just like short printed it, and then a few years later people found out there was actually a pretty good game, and then it was really hard to get a hold of. It was sort of like the Fire Emblem Wii game and GameCube game sort of thing. But then they eventually came out with I think it was the new 3DS version. It was like one of the 3 games that was new 3DS exclusive. And then they eventually came out with the Switch remaster, which is what I have. But I picked this up because, at least here, the 2 is getting really hard to get a hold of. Because like Amazon doesn't have it, well, like it does, but it's been like at sort of scalped prices. And none of the physical stores have it brand new anymore. So I figured I'd pick up 3 while it was on sale, just in case. But I've got to keep my eye out for 2, so I have the full sort of series. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about this because I obviously haven't played, like I haven't touched the series. I just wanted to sort of pick it up while I had the chance. Last up we got Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. This holds a lot of nostalgia for me because this was one of, I believe it was probably the second game I ever 100%ed. I guess technically, I think the game goes up to something stupid like 107% or something. But this was another one of those games where I was really wondering why they haven't made a PC port. But at this point it's been, I found this before, what year was this? 2019? So it's been 4 years since it released, so I think at this point it's not getting a PC release. Especially because they're like done with the online now. They're not updating it anymore. But they do pretty well with all the different carts and characters and courses that they added. I think they had like season passes. More like battle passes and season passes. So I sort of missed out on all that online stuff, which is kind of a shame. But this was actually going to be... Oh, the game is in the PS4, that's why it's on here. Because I was updating it. This was going to be the game I actually played next. It was supposed to be before 3D Dot Game Heroes, but my original copy, I guess I was trying to install it on the PS4, and it got to like 90% and then failed, and then had like a disc with a red cross through it. So I guess the disc just didn't work. So I had to, and because it was secondhand, I had to wait until I got a new, like until someone else had traded it in before I got another copy. I was really just waiting for them to make a PC version, but I think after 4 years, it's probably over. I don't think they're going to bother, which is really odd because they've ported every other Crash game. And it kind of sucks too because the only versions are PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And the Switch version is like 720 30 or something, like 720p 30 FPS. And then the PS4 and Xbox One both suffer from... I think they both suffer from pretty shitty load times. Like I've heard they're pretty abysmal. So that's something that like a newer PC with an SSD would have fixed. I don't know if like an Xbox Series X, if like that SSD with backwards compatibility would have fixed it. If anyone knows, let me know, because if so, I might hold out on playing this then, depending on how bad the loading screens can get. But I definitely plan on doing this and trying to get like the platinum or whatever, because I remember the game was pretty brutal, and I know on release there were a bunch of people getting like filtered pretty hard by this. So I don't know if they upped the difficulty or if it was just like always pretty rough. The things I remember being like really tough were the crystal challenges, because you have to know a it's like a specific route you have to take through the level, and like game walkthroughs and stuff weren't that common back then, so you sort of had to like figure it out for yourself. And then there were like some of the letter challenges where you had to collect all 3 letters and then finish in first. Could be sort of rough as well, but I guess like 7-year-old me somehow managed to 100% it, and I'm looking forward to going back and trying it again to see how tough it is. So yeah, that's it for September's update. I hope I covered everything I wanted to, because I got sort of sidetracked when that recording stopped, but I left the other 2, Yakuza 4 and Gravity Rush, out there because they weren't really supposed to be a part of this. I was just sort of showing them off as they were tangentially related. But yeah, I think I'm going to try doing these 10 at a time. And I don't know if I'm going to do these every month, because I will eventually run out of being able to update. But I'll probably do these for whenever I think I'm going to be able to. I'm going to be missing like a streaming day or something, because sometimes I have things planned, and I sort of like miss the day. For example, like that's coming up this week. But I think at this point I have 19 more games that I haven't updated yet. So that's almost 2 months worth, and I'm going to be picking up more soon. So depending on how many I pick up next, because that'll probably be my next big bunch, that's going to determine how often I keep up with these things. But there'll probably be one next month, and then after that I got to figure out how often I'm going to be spreading these out to sort of like keep up with it, so I don't also like fall behind or get too far ahead. But anyway, hopefully I covered everything, and sorry if I like sort of got a bit off track halfway through because of the weird thing. But anyway, thanks for watching for this update, and hopefully I'll see you guys next month.